Welcome to Your Core Values Are Full of Shit by Michelle Berg. When you walk into our office, we have a training room. On the left side of the training room, there's a small whiteboard, and on it reads, Your core values are full of shit. That's because A, I like to spark conversation, and B, I'm absolutely passionate about getting your core values solid. So why am I so passionate about core values to begin with? Because when a company actually gets it and knows their core values inside and out, building an HR strategy is simple. In fact, you don't need a fancy title or even a ton of experience to do it. So let's test my theory. Are your core values full of shit? First, do you know who created your values? If it was marketing, chances are they are slanted for marketing purposes and are not truly core. Here's the thing, core values are rarely sexy and they may not even be exciting or clever. Now let me ask you this. If you've been at your company for more than 3 months, can you rattle your core values off? If not, I'd say your company is doing a piss poor job of sharing those values that they say are core. Does your recruitment process include testing for core values? Have you bothered to craft questions that truly measure whether or not someone believes in the same things you do? Do you provide compensation to your team for living the core values, either monetary or otherwise? Do you manage performance with your core values as the foundation? For example, have you told your staff what behaviors you are looking for as it relates to those core values? Do you hold them accountable for those behaviors? Do you make termination decisions based on your core values? After all, teaching someone a technical skill is easy, but finding people who share your core values, well, that just takes work. But when you keep people on who don't share your value set, that ends up hurting your organization more than anything. And finally, here is my favorite question of all. So even if it was a competitive disadvantage, meaning you could lose business because of it, would you still hold that core value to be true? Here, let me give you an example. At Elevated, we have 4 core values: wow, offside, ownership, and partnership. Most are pretty self-explanatory, but the value that is the competitive disadvantage on a daily basis is being okay with being offside. On the right side of our training room, you will see this wall hanging. And the other day, Carrie, one of our associates, told a story about our client expressing they did not appreciate the wall hanging. And I thought about taking it down for, a millisecond, because that would be contrary to living our core values. A great example of being offside is I actually tried to use a dating app, both Bumble and Tinder, as a unique way to drum up business. Not sure if you can read it, but while I thought it was creative and disruptive, Edward here said he would have listened to me normally but thought it was invasive and intrusive to be using a dating app. He got me kicked off Bumble. Another potential client told us that we were lucky he didn't see our videos before he hired us because he most likely wouldn't have hired us. In fact, he told me to get a better marketing partner. That reminds me, please go check out our last video. We've got a new succession plan that we'd love your feedback on. And while it might seem that we get in the way of ourselves for living our core values, the truth is we have more fun working with some seriously amazing brands that get that being okay with being offside is an advantage to us as well as them. But enough about us. Let's take Apple. One of their core values is being okay with saying no to things, and I'm certain that at times this has seriously put them at a competitive disadvantage. And then there's Netflix. One of their 9 core values is courage. It takes courage to put all of their episodes up in one shot, only for someone to binge them all, only to cancel their membership the next month. And it's definitely courage that puts out a show like The Ranch. That literally almost ended my membership. Now let's look at it from the opposite direction. Integrity happened to be one of Enron's core values. That is, until it became a competitive disadvantage, and then they did anything but demonstrate integrity, which of course ultimately led to their demise. So how did we get these values to be core? First, I hired people who demonstrated these same values. I reward people who aren't afraid to live these core values. Our weekly meetings or discussions surround core values. In other words, I make it an everyday event for ourselves. Now ask yourselves this: does your company make living and breathing your core values an everyday event? If not, I think you know the answer, but your values are full of shit. Building HR strategy is not rocket science. You don't need years of experience in HR or a fancy title in HR to build HR strategy. You just need to get in front of your CEO Or ask yourself to determine if your core values are really core. If not, do the work and build them. If they are indeed core, assess each and every single people program you have built in your organization and ensure they are core value driven first. When you do this, you will have an atmosphere or a culture that is not only engaged, but getting the ROI your company deserves. Do you have questions or comments? Email us at info@elevatedhr.com or join us on social media on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter.